I always, when I was younger, would watch Eden Hazard.
Oh, what a player.
Yeah. I always liked David Beckham as well. And recently, I've kind of been watching Zidane. I don't know, I just really like him as a player, and he's kind of inspiring to me at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to explain why Zidane's an inspiration.
No.
The official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the official Man City podcast. I'm your host, George Kelsey, joined again by Nedum.
Good to be here. So how you doing?
Yeah, good mate, you?
I'm superb. It's another rainy day in Manchester, so it feels like home. Good times.
Couldn't have any other way, could you?
Exactly.
Laura Blindkilde Brown today on the podcast, one of our January signings, but really exciting future ahead, and she's starting to make a name for herself as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she absolutely is. This is, young talent at City, which they've been very, very good at sort of unearthing in years gone by. And I'm interested to see how she settled in, what she thinks about, say, the way that the club works, how the team works, and if she feels like she's getting better, and whether she does see a really bright future for herself here as well.
Yeah, so exciting. Right, without further ado, let's get her in. Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast with Laura Blindkilde Brown.
Kelly, delicate, Fowler, tight angle, who's there? Surely, Laura Blindkilde Brown. Lovely moment for the young English midfielder. Her first Manchester City goal, her first WSL goal, right in the corner of the roof. You don't save those.
Laura, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. I'd like to actually start with an apology because I've been saying your name wrong for the last 7 or 8 months. I saw the video that we put out on our social channels, and it's actually Laura Blindkilde Brown, isn't it? Yeah. I've been saying Blindkilde like a classic English person, just not getting it right.
That's fine.
So that's obviously because your mum's Danish,
Yeah.
isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So, and also why your nickname is Blinky, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that one that has come from City, or was that one that you've had your whole career as a nickname?
Well, some people call me Brownie as well, because it's obviously Blindkilde Brown. But no, I had that on the back of my shirt at Villa, so it's just kind of stuck, yeah.
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 And how have you found it settling in with this team? It seems like, getting a nickname straight away, that seems like a good start.
Yeah.
But how have you found it since you joined?
It's a really tight-knit group, so they were all really welcoming to me, and I feel like I've fit in really well. It's been really good so far.
Yeah. Did you know anyone from the team before you joined?
Obviously, last year I knew Ruby, and I also know Kiara really well from England. So having them as well there was good because it helped me settle in more quickly.
Yeah. Do you still have family over in Denmark?
Yeah, all my Danish family live in Denmark.
Nice.
So my nan and granddad live there, and all my cousins and aunties live there.
Yeah. So you go back quite a lot? Or?
Yeah, I usually go back every other Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And spend Christmas there.
Christmas in
So,
Denmark sounds great.
Yeah, it's nice.
Sounds cold.
Well, yeah.
It's
Is that what you're
freezing.
into, yeah?
A bit snowy, yeah.
Does it snow?
good.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's the dream.
That is magical, isn't it? Darn it.
Better than a Christmas walk in the rain like we do every single year.
Depends what you're into, yeah. Depends what you're into.
I don't think anyone's into that, to be honest.
Well, you're right. Yeah. Good
Um,
point.
just going on to, because you signed on deadline day back in January. Working in the media side of things, it's a bit mental, but for a player on deadline day making a move, I can't imagine what that day was like for you. Can you remember how much of a switch it was?
Yeah, it was quite overwhelming at first because I obviously wasn't expecting it. But my agent just rang me and was like, look, City are interested in you, they want to sign you. And I couldn't really believe it at first, but then things just kind of happened really quickly. And then I was in the door by sort of end of January, and then just went from there, yeah.
Yeah, I remember coming up on the day, I imagine, having to organise all the travel and everything.
Trying to find accommodation was obviously quite a struggle at first, but they have obviously temporary accommodation, and then you look for an apartment, and then obviously I've got an apartment now, so yeah.
I suppose that's the thing with football, things can change literally in 24 hours. So, and for someone so young still as well, do you feel like you coped the way you thought you would, or maybe did you learn something about yourself sort of reacting that quick to something?
I think I was quite scared at first because I've never lived away from home, but the fact it just happened all so quickly, I didn't really have much time to think about it. And then obviously coming into football every day kind of settled your nerves anyway. And then I just adapted to it. So I think I adapted to it well than I thought I probably would have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When did you, looking back, feel like you'd probably like fully settled in? Was it when you're like saying it's liquid sunshine, when it's raining? Is it when you're having Vimto? Like, what is it that makes you feel at home in Manchester now?
Probably when I got my apartment.
Okay.
Because then it felt like I had an actual home to go back to. That was, probably the time.
Okay.
Sounds right. When you're leaving work and you're going somewhere you know.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in particular, you've mentioned Ruby and Chiara, two people you knew already, but was there anyone in particular who you felt really looked after you, took you under their wing in those first few weeks before you kind of really established yourself?
I think Steph, obviously she's such a great leader, and she was obviously the captain. She was really welcoming to me, and she kind of took me under her wing and helped me with anything that I wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I suppose that kind of leads on. I wanted to talk to you about sort of your roots into football, because it's something when we spoke to like Steph, other players that are maybe been in the game for a little bit longer, it's always, I had to play for a boys team, I did this. Your route in, would you have also had to have played in a boys team initially, or did you go through like an all girls route from the get-go?
I started in a boys team when I was younger, probably about when I was 6, 7ish, and then because my brothers play football as well, so I kind of just played, obviously they're older than me, but I played in the team lower in the same, I don't know what you call
same
it.
club.
Same club, yeah. And then it was actually from school, this Villa coach came in just to do training with some of the school, and then he approached me after and was like, we want you to come and do trials with Villa. So then I trialled at Villa at about under 9s, got in there, and then I was there for about 5 years through all the age groups. Then I went to Blues for 2 years, and then I went back to Villa for another 3 years, I think, or 4 years, and then I obviously came to City.
Are you a Blues girl or are you a Villain?
Probably more Villa.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really support either of them, but I feel I was more home at Villa because I spent longer there.
I was waiting for you to say like, Wolves.
Or the Albion or something like that. Yeah.
I suppose that's really early to get picked up as well. So like, how did you find it going in and being at a club that early on when you're so young?
Yeah, I mean, the way it happened was all kind of a bit random. Like, I don't think it was meant to really happen. But then, since trials, like, I wasn't that good at that age compared to the other girls. So my mum and dad didn't think I was actually going to get in. But then, luckily, I got in because the manager kind of believed in me. And then I was just in there for like 5, 6 years, just working through the age groups. But I think being there from a young age, it has really helped because I've kind of been in that environment for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like. So, yeah.
And who were your inspirations growing up? I'm sure it's a question you've been asked about 50,000 times as a player.
I always answer different questions. Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the not football side of it, I'd obviously say my mum and dad, because they took me like across the country. They were always there for my training sessions, for my games. You know, they sacrifice a lot of their personal life for me. Probably in football, I'd say I always, when I was younger, would watch Eden Hazard.
Oh, what a player.
Yeah. I always liked David Beckham as well. And recently, I've kind of been watching Zidane. I don't know, I just really like him as a player, and he's kind of inspiring to me at the moment, Yeah, you
don't need to explain why Zidane's an inspiration.
No.
Yeah. Is David Beckham?
Yeah, I don't know.
To be fair, like, I get it, but did you remember watching him when he was still playing and he was still doing particularly well? Or is it more so like looking back now and seeing how good he was?
I think because I've watched some of his like documentaries, stuff like that, like the things he's had to face, it's kind of inspiring the way he kind of just like blocked it all out and bounced back from it.
This is a problem with me. Like, I've reached a point where like I'm old enough to remember David Beckham playing football. Yeah, it's funny. Like that's a measure of time now. It's not just David Beckham the hero. This is like David Beckham like when he's scoring from the halfway line. Yeah, that means I'm pretty old.
Or like David Beckham, Brooklyn's dad. rather than the player. It's just like,
I'm so past it, honestly. So past it.
You'd have played against Hazard, wouldn't you, in particular?
Yeah, it's very, very good. I think you've been watching a very, very good player there. Like, so much talent. I think certain elements about what, say, football is in today's world, he's not really as bothered about, but in terms of just sheer talent, the way he can beat anyone, everyone, some of the goals he scored. Like, it's sad that his time at Real Madrid didn't work out the way that he would have liked it to, but that's one of, like, the streets will never forget type players. You know, that's an icon, and it was good playing against him. I think I probably beat him once, but
Focus on that one.
I'll try and find out which one it was, but yeah, definitely one time.
Yeah, he was a joke at Chelsea, wasn't he? Absolute joke.
Mm-hmm.
Were you always a midfielder as well?
Yeah.
Always in that attacking sort of pocket? Or?
Yeah, well, kind of anywhere in the midfield, but probably mainly attacking, It's always been the midfield.
I suppose that's helped you out, because sometimes you speak to players who have started as strikers and they've started working back.
All right, I feel seen. I was once a number 9, then I ended up being a defender, didn't go up for set pieces, But, I feel seen.
But it's good though, it helps out with your... I was going at
Don't look me in the eye and tell me it's good. Don't do that.
I'll move on then.
No. What do you enjoy the most? Say, like, when you're playing midfield, do you enjoy, say, maybe getting on the ball, passing? Is it the tackling? Is it the assists? Is it goals? Like, what's your most enjoyable part?
Probably assists.
Why?
I don't know, I like feeling that I was involved in the goal, but I think I'd prefer assisting than scoring.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, I like kind of giving it to somebody else, but me being a part of it.
Okay, well, how about then, after you say you make a great assist and somebody scores and they don't come and thank you for the assist, does that bother you then?
Yeah, that would bother me.
This is why you got to be a goal scorer, you know what I mean? Forget who made the pass, it's about the goal, isn't it?
Your time at Villa, another midfielder who obviously we know very well here is Jill Scott, who you would have played with for a little bit when she was on loan. I was looking at that Villa team. You've got Jill, you've got Anita Asante, Lucy Staniforth. For a young player, how important is it to have, especially with Lucy and Jill, players in your position, sort of showing you the ropes? What did they sort of do for you in those years at Villa?
Well, it was always like we could learn from them. They were always like a role model for us younger midfielders that were in the team. But it was always like they'd help you in training, or if they didn't think you did something right, they'd come speak to you and like really put an arm around your shoulder and kind of motivate you and kind of give you like constructive criticism, but it would really push you on to try and do it right.
With Jill as well, because it was actually her final club appearances for Villa before that Euros. What did you maybe particularly learn from her? Because again, like I said, we know her really well, but off the pitch as well, she's such an important player for so many people.
I think as soon as she came to Villa, she just settled into the team really quickly. Everyone just loved her. Like, she was such a positive person. And like all the team looked for her when they ever needed advice or just like were down, because she'd really like make the changing room a better place.
Is it pretty mad seeing what she's then gone on to do? I mean, Euros that summer, Queen of the Jungle a few months after.
Yeah, it's weird saying that you played with her,
I suppose it's a funny one now where you're like, oh yeah, I've got Jill in my phone book. And it's like, oh really? It's like, yeah, I'll watch Jill,
yeah.
Easy. Then you kind of established yourself probably that year, but then the year after in particular, that was a really strong season for you. I think won Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year as well.
Oh, just young player.
Oh, I'm giving you credit here. You can keep that. But still, like, did that feel like a real breakout for you in learning the ropes and what it takes to succeed in the WSL?
I think that was the year probably where I had the most game time that I've had. And that was just kind of just like playing in the games, feeling what it was like to play 90 minutes. Obviously Carla Ward giving me the opportunity to play. I was very grateful to her. But it just kind of made me grow as a player to be in and around the starting 11,
It must have been difficult then when, I mean, it's an opportunity, of course, to come to City, and as you said, but it must have been a difficult decision as well, leaving a club that you've been at for so long.
Yeah, and I knew coming to City that I wouldn't necessarily get as much game time because the calibre of players is just kind of like off the charts. The midfielders that I'm competing against are world-class midfielders. But I knew for my development that it would really help me as a player and I would develop as a player here.
Does it take time to adapt to the way that not just City but Gareth wants you to play as well?
Yeah, I think it's quite a clear way of how City want to play. So as soon as you come into training, they teach that into you. But I think you do pick it up quite quickly. And then once you kind of know the style of play, you know how to play in the team. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you feel you've really learned and taken on while you've been here so far?
I'd probably just say how quickly to move the ball, as in, like, you've always got pressure coming from you, how to kind of move out of that pressure and get away from the pressure. And obviously, like, picking up the ball speed, because the way City play, it's quick passes, switching the ball. So just that was the main thing, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it's something that you see often, isn't it? Especially and men's players have said it as well. Sometimes it takes a month, 2 months, 3 months to actually really find your feet.
Yeah, for sure. And I understand that, because it can be so different. I think at times, especially in the WSL, because everyone kind of plays differently.
Yeah.
But one thing you hear is, like, this is the City way. So for people to come in, to see the quality of players you mentioned in there, you know, you're talking about some of the best in the world, as you say, whether it's Huey, whether it's Vivian, whether it's Jill, Coombsy, all these people like this, but you're still a part of it.
Yeah.
And something that makes a difference in terms of how long it takes to make transition is the coaching.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching overall is so good to the point whereby you start to pick it up.
Yeah.
And I think what I wanted to ask really was, obviously coming over through development is a good thing, but, like, everyone wants to play as well.
Yeah.
So when you're not playing, obviously you're working hard, but how do you keep yourself going? Say if it's not, say, a week where you play as many minutes as you'd like.
I think it definitely is hard to keep yourself motivated, because you're so eager to want to play, especially as young players. You kind of have so much excitement for playing, but you've just got to remind yourself that you've got to be patient and that your time will come. Like, for example, Jess, like last year, she's come into the team, she's done so well in the team, and now she stayed in the team. It's kind of, she took her opportunity when it came, so it's just keep on being patient, keep working hard, and the opportunity will come.
I suppose the one thing as well that with Jess, every time Gareth speaks about her, he always talks about, but she did everything right in training, she worked hard here. So it's an example of putting in the graft on the training pitch, we'll reap the rewards on it after.
Yeah.
I think obviously I'd seen you a bit at Villa before, but when you joined City, the real standout game was that game at Villa on the final day. I thought you were brilliant when you came off the bench. What was that like for you? I mean, going back to play the team that you've come through at Villa Park, off the bench early on, and then also thinking, well, we could win the title here as well. It must have been a pretty crazy experience. Really.
Yeah, I think obviously I hadn't expected I was going to come on that early, so it kind of just happened really quickly. And I didn't really give myself time to kind of process all the emotions, so I just went into that game and told myself, just go out there and enjoy it. We were obviously in the title race, but it was to almost not put pressure on myself either. And I knew being back at Villa Park, it was somewhere I was familiar with. And I also probably wanted to prove a point against Villa. Like, it's always different when you play the team you came from. But yeah, the main thing was just go out there and enjoy it and have fun.
What was the build-up like to the game as well, in terms of, like, just thinking, right, the game's coming up, I know it's coming, how am I feeling here?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty settled, to be fair, because I just knew Villa so well. I think the main focus of the team was, we need to win the title here. That was kind of the main focus anyway, so I wasn't really thinking about playing my old team. That was the main thing.
See, when you were talking about the game, did you see the big smile on her face? Yeah. Does that game mean a lot to you?
I think that was kind of the first time that I'd played a substantial amount of minutes and proven to people that I can play in this team, because I think before I was coming off the bench for maybe half an hour, and people probably couldn't see what I could do, but then when I came on for Villa, I think people then realised that I could play in the City team.
I mean, you'd still made an impact, hadn't you, when you were coming on for those bits, but I can imagine that getting a real chance to kind of showcase
Yeah.
it, and then taking that chance as well, just must have been amazing.
Yeah, I think it was also about, I know I've been given an opportunity here, so I'm going to take it and prove to everyone that I can be in the City team. Yeah.
In a way, because you'd scored your first goal against, was it West Ham a few weeks before? And then you put in that performance against Villa. Are you almost a little bit annoyed that the season's ended at that point? Because the momentum you were showing.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit annoyed because it was like I was starting to kind of find my feet and get into the team. But, it is what it is, yeah. It's a new season now, so.
Exactly, yeah. And it feels like having a summer break and a chance to go away is maybe a good opportunity for you, because coming in and being asked immediately to get into a squad that's pushing for the title, maybe having that bit of a rest back. Do you feel more settled in because of the summer that we've just had?
I think probably when I came in January, it was very much about winning the title, and there wasn't that many games to go. But now it's probably more about, it's more settled now because it's just so early on in the season. So it's just a chance for everyone to prove themselves again.
Yeah. Let's talk about Europe, because I'm sure that would have been a big sort of ambition of yours when you came in, to be playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We managed to get there. You've played in the 2 Paris FC qualifiers at time before we get into the groups. What's it like to play in a Champions League game?
I don't, it was something I've probably never experienced before, but I think when I came on in the game and started the game, we were in such a comfortable position that it probably wasn't as nerve-wracking as if it would have been 0-0. But I think it's where City want to be. It's where I want to be as well. And it's the first time in however long that we've made it. So everyone's just really excited to get going,
How have you found the start to the season generally? Because, a lot's been said about how difficult it was. We've had Champions League qualifiers, Arsenal away at the Emirates. And, Brighton, again, a team that are going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams. How do you feel we've done so far at this stage?
I think getting 4 points out of 6 has been pretty positive. I think we did really well to beat Brighton 1-0 because they were a really tough team. And obviously our first game against Arsenal, it's the first game of the league. So to get a draw out of it, it's probably not what we wanted, but looking towards the end of the season, it's probably a point we will take,
Absolutely. Is it one of those, and again, sorry for the cliche, but...
You don't have to say it. If it's cliche, you don't have to say it.
I want to.
Go on then.
Did it feel like one of those games where maybe last season, or maybe the season before, you don't end up holding on for a point, you end up maybe losing that game, or you don't get ahead in the first place? Arsenal's first goal goes in and then it becomes a second, or did it feel like that there's a bit of a growth in this team that we've managed to get something from?
Yeah, I think obviously last year losing on goal difference was really disappointing, so we knew how important this year it was to get points on the board, and especially against the top teams, getting a point could be valuable at the end of the season, so it's positive at the end of the day,
Definitely. 2 goal scorers in that game were Viv and Jess. Should we talk about Jess's goal first?
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah, what it just shows the talent that she has, but also what was your guys' reaction as you saw it go in? Because I could tell you what ours was in the press box, but we got some dirty looks from the Arsenal media, I'll tell you that.
I think she's really grown in confidence to be able, a lot of people told her last year you need to shoot more, and now she's really kind of doing that, and she's scoring way more, so everyone's kind of really happy for her, and they knew the performances she put in last year that the goals were going to come, so
I think the two of you, because you played together in pre-season in that midfield, is she a player that you particularly enjoy playing alongside, because it looked like the two of you were linking up so well in those games?
I think we're quite probably similar players. We're both small. We're both probably we like dribbling with the ball. So I definitely like playing with her, and especially I kind of look up to her as well in what she's doing, how she's got into the team and stayed in the team, and how she's thriving in the team. So I definitely like playing alongside Jess,
And another 2 midfielders that I just wanted to touch on are the the two Dutchies, as they like to call themselves.
Is that what they call themselves?
They call themselves Dutchies, yeah.
Okay.
I know. I heard Jill say it first, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting one. And then Kirsten said it, and now Viv said it as well. So I'm just going to roll with it as well. There are obviously two players that have, well, for you, are just coming in now because of Jill's injury. How much of an impact do you feel? Let's start with Viv. Her coming in, her credentials, her experience, what she's achieved. How much has she brought to the team, do you feel? Not just in terms of what she's done on the pitch, because we've all seen it, but what she's brought off it as well.
I think she's definitely brought in a lot of experience, without trying to say she's
I know what you mean.
Which is not old, but
Some dog whistle for old, wasn't it?
but yeah, she's got a lot of knowledge about the game. She's top goal scorer in the WSL, so she's just come in with a lot of knowledge, and she's really helped the team already.
And Jill, obviously, you'll have seen her progression from when she sustained the injury to then where she is now. It must be really pleasing as players because you see the work that they put in. I'm sure you've had the same, Nedum. You see the work that these players put in off the pitch to get themselves back. So to get that chance again, it must just be really nice to see her get it.
Everyone was just really happy for her. Obviously, the work she's put in to get back to where she is and done it so quickly, everyone was just really pleased for her when she came on the other day.
What was it like for her as well after the game? Because I mean, everyone sort of was coming over, giving her a big hug.
I think she was quite emotional, as you probably would be, but I think she was just kind of probably overwhelmed as well of how she's got back, and she's stayed back.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen in some of the research you did that when you were younger you had, was it a heart surgery, problem? So if you don't mind, you could just talk to us a little bit about what that was, how it sort of affected you, and maybe how it's helped you sort of grow as a player after it.
When I was at Birmingham, I'd just be running on the pitch or in training, and I'd feel like my heart was beating really fast. And at first no one believed me. But they just thought I was they didn't think I was overreacting, but they just probably thought I was unfit. And then we had screening with England, and my dad wrote on the notes that sometimes she feels like she's having palpitations. So then they did some extra testing for me. I went down to Bristol Children's Hospital, and I think it's called a VO2 max test, you know, when you run on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And luckily I had one of these episodes where I'd feel my heart beating really fast, and it went to 280 beats on the monitor. Obviously I could see. So then obviously they knew there was a problem, and then they did extra testing, and they saw that I had an extra cell at the back of my heart, which was sending like extra waves to my heart so it would beat really fast. So then I had an operation. It was keyhole surgery, and they just burnt the cell at the back of my heart, and ever since I've been fine. But obviously when obviously I knew there was a problem, I thought like I might never play again. I didn't know how serious it was, but luckily it wasn't too serious, and it's been fine ever since.
How old were you at this point?
It was in 2017, so I was 15,
right,
I think, or 14, 15, I think, yeah. So
at that age you are thinking, I've got a chance here and I could make it. It's looking like an actual career, and but also at that age you're then thinking, I might not have a chance here.
I think it was quite daunting at first, because obviously my dad was in the room with me when he saw my heart rate go up that fast, and it was quite daunting at first because we thought like something is really wrong here, and obviously a heart's a pretty serious thing, it could be anything, but luckily it wasn't too threatening to me.
I suppose something like that, it puts things in perspective, but has it maybe made you appreciate the work that you've put in and what you've still got to get out of your career? Because I mean it could have been very different.
I think in that moment when I thought I might never play football again, it was kind of a really scary moment, but then to be told that it's not too bad and you will play football again, it's just made me grateful for everything that's happened ever since. But you also know that anything could happen at any point, so you should always just enjoy every moment in football. Really appreciation for it. Well, I mean, really pleased that it's nothing serious.
Well, Laura, thanks so much for your time today. Really enjoyed it. We always end the podcast with our guests leaving a question for the next guest, and then you answering the question that was obviously asked by our previous guest. So previous guest was Ilkay Gundogan, and he asked, it was, what are your plans for the future? Was it? So
right, yeah.
It depends how you want to interpret it. It could be your football plans, it could be your plans for tea tonight, whatever it is. You go for it.
We'll go football.
Okay.
My probably future plans would be to try and get into the senior team, whenever that may be.
Yeah. England senior team.
Yeah, England senior team.
I'm going to say you're already at it.
And probably win the Super League with City, and probably, I can't say win Champions League as well.
Oh, dream big.
Yes, please.
Dream big.
Yes, please.
Probably win Champions League as well. That would be the dream. So yeah.
You didn't put a time frame on it. That's the key thing.
No,
so
true.
You're all right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Whenever then.
Aim for the stars. I love it.
Yeah.
But crucially as well, what are you going to have for your tea tonight?
I think I'm gonna have a curry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. And can you think of a question you'd like to leave for the next guest? Again, we don't know who it's going to be at this stage.
What's your best moment in your career so far?
Nice. I like it.
You knock that down, yeah.
Yeah, I won't forget a question like that. And it also, that works as well, because sometimes we have non-football guests who are City fans, so career can branch out. Lovely. Well, again, Laura, thanks so much for your time. Good luck for the season and enjoy your curry tonight.
Thank you. Thanks.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.